So 3 days ago, I had the amazing opportunity to see How to Train Your Dragon 2025 early. This is the live action reimagining of the 2010 classic How to Train Your Dragon that came out 15 years ago. I was only 6 when that came out. I'm 21 now. Where did all the time go? I mean, how did we ever get to a point where a live action reimagining would be realized years later? This is written and directed by Dean DeBlois, the writer and director of the original How to Train Your Dragon, as well as the co-director of the original Lilo and Stitch. In How to Train Your Dragon, we follow Hiccup, the teenage son of Stoic the Vast, played by Gerard Butler, who, after befriending a night fury named Toothless, he discovers that the conflict between Vikings and dragons is not all what it seems. I really like the original How to Train Your Dragon, and while I don't think it is one of the greatest animated films as some put it out there, like I don't think it's 99% great, I think it is a really, really solid DreamWorks film. And when they announced that they were going to be doing a live action reimagining, I thought to myself, huh. I didn't know if a remake to How to Train Your Dragon was completely necessary because the film was really good and I thought it stood out on its own and wasn't really necessary in needing of a remake. And while I was happy that Dean DeBlois was making it, I was still kind of skeptical. But I heard nothing but great things out of people who were at CinemaCon earlier this year. So I began to become a little more optimistic, but I was also kind of skeptical too, not only because it was a remake, but because remakes to animated films or live action remakes to animated films haven't been great as of recently. I thought Lilo and Stitch was mediocre. I didn't like Snow White. Little Mermaid, I liked it first, but the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. And Mufasa, I just didn't like. So I went in with some skepticism, but I was hoping for the best. And I'm happy to say that How to Train Your Dragon is an above average remake for the most part. So one of the biggest positives of the live action How to Train Your Dragon remake to me was the return of Dean DeBlois, who came back to write and direct this film. Not only did he do such a good job of reintroducing the audience into the world of Burke, but he managed to recapture the charm, heart, and the story without it being a shot-for-shot remake, which I was kind of worried that he was going to do, but thankfully, he avoided that and gave us a very, very faithful remake. When it comes to the cast of this film, almost everybody does a great job, but the biggest standout to me was Mason Thames as Hiccup. I thought he did such a great job of not only embodying Hiccup, his mannerisms, he has the look, but Mason Thames, to me as an actor, I think he has a future and I cannot wait to see whatever he does next. As for the other performances, Nico Parker I thought was really good as Astrid. Nick Frost to me was hilarious. he got a lot of laughs from the audience, and I cannot wait to see what Nick Frost is in next. He's going to be Hagrid, and I can't wait to see what he does with Hagrid and Harry Potter, and of course Gerard Butler. I mean, even if Gerard Butler isn't in a good movie, he is almost always one of the positives, and I was so glad that he came back to return as Stoic the Vast. On a technical level, How to Train Your Dragon looks beautiful. It is so beautiful to look at, particularly when you see the first flight sequence later on in the movie. Not only does it recapture that sense of wonder, that sense of awe, but it really makes you feel like you're in the moment with these characters. And I saw this in the third row at my screening, and usually I don't like sitting in the front row. I think it's very distracting, but for the flight sequences and the entire third act alone, which I thought was really good, it was so worth it. And the dragons look amazing, the attention to detail. I honestly think that the visual effects deserve to be nominated for an Oscar. That is how good they look. With that said, I do have some issues, particularly within the first half. I thought there was too much narration. I didn't really get invested within the conflict of the Vikings and the dragons. I thought it was tell not show. I just didn't really get like attached to it. And another part was I really could not stand the twins in this film. Now, the twins, Tough Nut and Rough Nut, I did enjoy them in the original, but to me, they just didn't have that humor and they just came off more as annoying than funny. And also, another issue I have is Aside from Astrid, I think they could have done a better job of developing some of the more side characters. So overall, while I think the film struggles to find its footing within the first half, the film tremendously picks up in the second half, and by the end of it, I was really, really pleasantly surprised. So overall, I would definitely recommend you go see How to Train Your Dragon, and I'm going to give this film a 7.5 out of 10. So thank you for watching my review, and I look forward to seeing your thoughts, and let me know what you thought of it in the comments, and I will see you all later.